Hi there, Joka here, and today I'm sharing with you some cards with a new Spellbinders collection called Fluted Classics by Becca Feeken. And this collection consists of five die sets, and I'm going to be using three of them. This one here is the rectangle set, and as you can see, it's a large set with a lot of dies that you can use to create frames or just plain rectangles, or you can just use those those stripy designs to add embossing details to your projects. That is the second one is the circle set, and this one here is the oval set. And you can see that these are really big, so I actually first thought to create shaped cards. I will create one, but the rest I will just use for standard A2 size. Now the papers that I'm using today are from Alexander Renke, and so I am going kind of monochromatic, so every card is going to be the base will be one color. Here it's going to be blue, and my idea for the rectangle card was to go with the negative cuts. So I'm trying to line up every layer with the one that I already cut, so I know where it's gonna cut. So basically, it's hard to explain. Basically, I am using an A2 size base every single time, and then I cut out the oval from it, and then I will layer all those up. I've done this design on scrapbook layouts several times in the past, and I always loved how those turned out. So I think I didn't do this on cards yet. So yeah, that's what I'm going for here. I am adding the first layer to my card base, and then I will add some foam adhesive to each of my layers to create some dimension, because that's when it looks the best, in my opinion. And I'm trying to add as much foam tape as possible so that the layers are kind of sturdy, that they will not have dents here and there. And as you can see, I only used one oval die, the smaller oval die, and then I used the embossed detail on the outline, or how should I put that? It's getting a bit harder as the cutouts are getting larger because there's less space for the foam adhesive, so I just have to cut smaller and smaller pieces. And you can see that I'm trying to avoid that decorative frame, because those are cut, so there's you can see through them. And excuse me, and I didn't really want the foam tape to be visible, but here I noticed that I will need to place foam tape there, because otherwise I did not have that dimension. It kind of collapsed on the edges, so I now have to go back and place some small strips of tape there, just to have that nice dimension there. And another reason why I didn't want to add foam tape close to the edges was because I was actually planning to tuck my embellishment in there, so that they are kind of peeking out from behind each layer. But I'm gonna figure that out. I will still do that. Okay, so this card is actually pretty thick because I have all these layers of tapes, but I don't mind. Once in a while, something a bit more different is okay. So here's where it gets a bit trickier because I have to cut really thin strips of the foam tape. By the way, I'm always using this particular pair of scissors because they are Teflon coated, and these are my only scissors that don't stick to the foam tape, although this new type of Scotch adhesive is kind of, I don't know, it's stickier, but it's still better than on my normal scissors. It's easier to cut. Anyway, so I'm finishing up this last layer as well, and then the main part of the card is actually done. I was thinking about doing this on all the other cards, the circles and the rectangles, but then I didn't really want them to all be the same, so this is why I decided to do something else with those. You will see that in a second. What I tested there was if it can still stand on its own, but because it's front heavy, but luckily the card base is strong enough. Okay, and now I come in with some other die sets. This one is from the Christmas Blooms, I believe it's called. I will link everything in the description box below, as always, if you are interested in the products I used. So this is how you create these, I don't know, bellflowers or something like that. And this one, some of the small ones I think are also with the Christmas Blooms set. And then there is the big Poinsettia that's from a Glimmer hot foil and die set that is also gonna be in the description box. Okay, so for my second card, I decided to go with the shaped card. Here the largest circle is pretty big, so it would be actually too big on an A2 card base. I am not positive that I used the largest one for my card base, but I think so. I made these quite a while back and I don't quite remember. But anyway, as you could see, I created my card base with the die as well. I'm sure you can go different ways about this, but I always find this one the easiest, where I just score a line on the back side of the card, and then I just glue those two that where I scored it, just on one side of it, the smaller side, I will add liquid glue and then I glue the other shape on it. Now for my last card base, I'm using the rectangle dies, and the largest one here is an A2 size, and I'm covering up my card base with that, and then I will add the smaller ones on top. I have to trim my prepared card base there because it was not exactly the same size. I don't know, I just never get the size right. Okay, so to give it dimension, I'm using some foam sheets here. I do love this product. I use it quite often. The one thing I don't like about it, this here. So one side of it, I don't know why. One side is perfect. You can easily peel off the backing, and the other side is impossible. I always have to use the this pokey tool, I call it. I just cannot peel it off because I think it's way too sticky, and then it also sticks to my fingers. You see, I'm getting frustrated here. Okay, so once that's done, this is going to be my top layer. By the way, this paper, my camera is not going to pick it up, but it's actually a matte gold sort of thing. It's really pretty in person. Okay, so I will create a floral cluster here with the poinsettias, and then I'm also going to add some, like pine needles and other leaves and stuff like that. And I created monochromatic card bases, but I will use the same 3 kind of color families throughout my cards. So here I'm just using the blue for the leaves and the pinkish, reddish colors, and also a really light blue for one of my poinsettias. So yeah, I really like these colors and papers. Some of these were already on my desk because I used some of these papers for my November large die kit cards. So yeah, that's kind of why I started out with the same papers. It's not the same exact same colorway, but I'm using some of the same products. And I'm also creating another floral cluster here. It's pretty much the same. It's just different colors or sizes, but it's the same idea. So only the first card with the oval die cuts will be a little bit different. So I'm just using liquid glue to adhere parts of these die cuts. I never attach all of it because I want to have, curled up edges and a little bit more dimension. I don't know, I just don't like flat placements on things like this. Okay, so this is kind of done. It's still missing the sentiment, which I'm going to add later, and a little bit of embellishing as well. But first I'm going to create my third card as well, and it's kind of like on a production line, I do every step on each card. Okay, so here is what I'm trying to figure out, how I can tuck parts of these behind those papers, because there's foam tape there. So I'm just going to cut off parts of these so I can actually, kind of hide them behind there. And then I just create 3 clusters, I think. I first wanted to add the flowers randomly everywhere, but I don't know, I didn't like it. That's normally what I do on my scrapbook layouts, just place embellishments everywhere. But here I then decided to create 3 focal points here. And again, I'm using 2 different die sets, which one of them is older, I think maybe last year. Like definitely it came out in the summer, but I'm not sure if it was last year or already the year before. Somehow all the years are starting to blur. Okay, so I'm trying to figure out the placement. I didn't really want to edit this part out. It might be boring. There's not much to talk about here. I just play around with placement, and then once I'm settled on something, I just add liquid glue and stick everything down. And then I will use what I use on most of my cards. sentiment strips, these foiled sentiment strips that I already mass produced, I think in the summer. When I first started making Christmas cards, I created a lot in a variety of colors, mostly red and different golds. And yeah, that's what I've been using because it's easy to grab, and I don't know, they just mostly fit every single card, and there's so many different Christmas sentiments in these sets. I absolutely love using them. Okay, so I am almost done here with the flowers. Only the last cluster is remaining there. And then I'm always, the way I go about it, I always move them around while I'm gluing them. So what I mean by that is that, I figure out what placement I want, but to glue everything down layer by layer, I have to move them constantly. So back and forth, especially the top layers. But I don't mind doing that. I just want to keep them in place, because if I don't, I never remember what I wanted to do. I've tried that before, but that just doesn't work. Okay, finishing touches, like I said, some embellishing. I'm adding a few enamel dots here and there where it can be seen. I'm not adding them to the bottom flowers where you don't see the middle. And I am going to do that for all the cards. Actually, I'm using 2 different colors here, or 3 even. Some pinks and 4, because I'm also using a blue one there. Some kind of lighter pink and coralish type, and then this dark, what should we call it, red wine color. So these are the sentiments I was talking about, and this set is actually, the die set is a different set, but it works with the sentiment strips, which is perfect. I don't like to cut my sentiments with my trimmer. They are never straight, so these are perfect. I love them. And now I am just placing them where I think I will add them in the end. So on the oval version here, I wanted to tuck one end under the one of the layers, and so I added some foam tape in the middle, and to keep it in place I also added liquid adhesive to the sides. And now this one is just very simple. I'm just adding it in the middle and also the last one, and then that's it. These are my cards with today's new collection. I hope you like them. I hope you find some inspiration in them. Thank you very much for stopping by. I hope to see you next time. Bye bye.